Hi, I'm Tyler Furry, and I wanted to update my Dracotail deck profile with now Shadalls. I've switched to Shadal from Primite just because the hand was tending to get very clogged with too many normal summons under Primite. And Shadal still maintains a big blowout play, though. If if the Magistus cards we still need are in Doom of Dimensions, I will definitely be shifting to that. It's a more consistent build with 3 extra starters. But without further ado, let's just get into the deck. 3 Dracotail Lucius. On summon, search a Dracotail, usually going to be 5 mana. And then both of these, when they have all the Dracotails, set a Dracotail spell trap when they're sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon. 5 mana is a fusion spell hand trap for dragons and spellcasters, which lets you use your big Dracotail fusions as interruptions on your opponent's turns. Malulu is your alternate normal summon. It's a quick fusion while it's on the field, and when it's fused away, like the other dragons, it will have an additional effect that does not target. In this case, it negates a monster permanently. Pan, when it's into the graveyard, a fusion material sets and then pops non-targeting, and when a dragon or spellcaster fusion is sent to the graveyard, it can bottom itself to special summon a Dracotail monster, generally Lucius or Malulu, from grave. And then Urgula is the spell trap pop on set, and then once per turn can target a spellcaster type Dracotail, generally going to be 5 mana, bottom itself, and then put that Dracotail in hand. Let's move these out of the way. The spells 3 Ketu. This is a searcher, and then is a poly for dragons and spellcasters if your opponent controls a monster. Rahu is a Shadal / Branded fusion, but since the way the Dracotail monsters work, you have to fuse most of the material. Use at least one material from hand. It is not as intrinsically powerful as those cards. And then Flame and Horn. Flame is a spell negate. For some reason, it doesn't affect traps. Horn is an attack position bounce. And then both of them have the clause where when they're resolving, they can bottom a Dracotail card to draw a card, which makes them susceptible to both Ash and Bell, which is a little annoying. But at the same time, they do keep your hand fuel, which is important. Shadal Beast, Shadal Dragon, Shadal Hedgehog, and 3 Squamana is the Shadal package I'm playing. Beast draws a card, Dragon pops spell trap, Squamana searches a Shadal, and then Hedgehog searches Shadal. Squamana sends from deck to grave. When sent to the graveyard by a card effect. So, sorry, I got spooked by my mic changing color a little bit. Yeah, you play Squamana at 3 because it represents any of the other Shadals. Obviously, they're all on hard onces, so you've got to manage them correctly. But I'm playing 6 to maximize my odds of having a Shadal and a Dark, since you've got 3 additional Darks with Malulu. Which is needed for Winda. And then 3 King of the Swamp and 1 Poly. Having the extra fusion card can be game changing, but you don't want to play multiples of Poly just to keep it from overbloating the deck. King of the Swamp in some builds can also swap in for Dark Magician or Blue Eyes to make Tyrant Dragon or Dragoon, but I'm not playing either of those in this build. I definitely could, but I've just chosen not to. Hand trap lineup 3 Ash Blossom, prevent searching, prevent summoning from deck, etc. 3 Ghost Spell, prevent manipulating graveyards. 3 Fua, draw every time your opponent special summons. 3 Nibiru, punish overextension or Yummy against Yummy, it's really nice for preventing them from making Arclight latent combos, and then one Talents because it's limited. I do think Talents is really strong in this meta. There's a lot of monster effects going off on both players' turns, so it gets turned on real easily. I've sold off my Perulias, but as the price comes down for the reprint, actually, where is it right now? 1 second. Charmy Perulia. As I'm recording this, the tin printing is like $40, and I expect it's going to go down as more supply emerges. It's just been out a couple days, so the Nibirs would probably go to the side. They'd come back for Magistus. I could cut the Talents and get down to 41, but I just think Talents is too good in this current meta. For the extra deck, let's start off with the fusions. 3 Arthalion on summon bounces as many monsters from field or grave as it's had fusion materials from hand. And both the Dracotail fusions, when 2 or more monsters are sent from the field to the graveyard, can recur themselves once per turn, but are banished when they leave the field. 2 Gulamel. Once per turn, in response to Dracotail card activation, it can pop a card. There has to be it cannot just immediately respond. Your opponent does get priority, so they can break up the effects so Gulamel can't respond, which can be a little annoying, but you gotta work with what you got. Secretarian and Mysterian. Secretarian is a floodgate for the mirror, and they're both super poly targets in the mirror. Secretarian's also an extender, so if you get Lucius in the graveyard, you can bottom a dragon special to Lucius, or bottom a spellcaster and summon Malulu. And they both lose 100 attack for every banished card you have. And then Mysterion is a weird mix of bottomless and torrential, based on if a monster is special summoned with its own effect or an effect of a monster with the same type, not another type, and then it just banishes all monster your opponents control with that type. Winda is obviously one of the biggest blowouts in the game. Shadal plus a dark, can't be destroyed by card effects, and while it's on the field, each player can only special summon once per turn. I hate this card being legal, but it's just too strong not to play. The remaining super poly targets are Mudragon and Garura. This is mostly for Yummy because, quite frankly, K9 VS doesn't play too much into super poly. Sometimes you'll be able to get him with a Mudragon, but it's not a guarantee. Final Fusion is the only summonable off of Poly, and it is Guardian Chimera. Summon with a combination of monsters on field and in hand. It's a beast, so you can't, which is why it's only a Poly summon in this deck. But it can be multiple pops, it can be multiple draws. It's just very strong. And since you're going to be summoning with Poly, its protection's online. And God, is there a clause I'm forgetting on this thing? I don't think so. No, it's not. It's just wordy. 1 Typhon. I think Typhon's actually better positioned than it's been since release, actually. I think it's this format you can reasonably get to a point where Typhon will put you over the edge. And especially in Dracotail, you can still have traps to back it up. As well as your hand as well as the ability to fuse from hand. Though you can't really use Arthalion with it. Spirit Dragon and Seals. Obviously, Spirit Dragon is just here to make Lucius into a dragon to help make Seals, and then I mean, it deals non-targeting bounce, then summon Mululu from deck. It's just really a good end board piece if you've got the gas for it. And finally, of course, you love her, you hate, you got to have her, SP Little Knight. Summoned with a Fusion Synchro, Xyz, or Link, it banishes a card off the field or in the graveyard. And then has the banish one from each side, or two from your side effect. I mean, there's not that much to say. This card's been around for a couple of years now and is still one of the best cards in the game. And finally, the side deck, since my mic hasn't given out yet. 3 Droll and Lockbird. This is for Mitsu, among others. It's still worth having a little respect for those older decks. 3 Ghost Ogre. I'm not the hugest fan of Ghost Ogre in the format, but it's probably the most likely thing to get cut at some point, but from the hand traps at least. But it probably stays in the side in the transition to Magistus because the main deck package will be smaller. 5 cards rather than the current 10, so I can have an extra 3 hand traps overall without any problem. 3 Eclipse and 3 Evenly. These are primarily for VS and Yummy. Though I've actually been playing Ghost Ogre into Yummy more lately. So mostly just respecting VS, which you have to do in this deck. Canine VS is just that good a matchup that you have to make sure you got plenty of stuff in the sideboard to check them. And finally, the 3 Super Poly. I mean, it's great in the mirror. It's great against Yummy. Like, it's just such a good card breaker that they can't respond to. I don't like droplets in this deck. You're just not resource efficient enough to use it reliably. So that's why you don't see it here. In more resource efficient decks like Yummy, definitely droplets in this meta, but in this, I'm not so fond of it. Well, that's that. I mean, the Dracotail combo is very simple. I'll just demonstrate it real quick for those who haven't seen it for whatever reason. Let's go Lucius, a hand trap, normal Lucius, search 5 mana. 5 mana, fuse Lucius in the hand trap. For Arthalion 1 targeting 5 mana, Lucius 2. Lucius will set Rahu. This is just your baseline combo. Arthalion will return 5 mana into hand. Activate Rahu, send 5 mana, send Urgula. Make Gulamel. Use the 2 names engraved to set your 2 traps. And then Urgula targets 5 mana. Urgula bottoms itself. 5 mana goes back to hand. So now you've got 2 traps. You got Gulamel's Interruption. And you got a Fusion Summon. Plus, you've got 3 more cards in hand. Plus 2 more draws, potentially. So you've got plenty of interaction. Some of the interaction will then set up follow-up, like with another Rahu or Ketu, or both, depending on exactly what's in hand. I wish there was another way to get to Lucius besides just Ketu, or sending it with Rahu. But you gotta work with what you have. And we should have Spoon in the next few weeks, which I'll go over when we have it, when we know we have it, but it does add a nice little combo line to the end board, an extra end board piece while getting you to Lucius. So yeah, I wanted this up Sunday, but didn't work out. Oh, not Sunday, Saturday. It's Sunday isn't recording. But I had to work late Friday and just didn't get to record Saturday. So yeah, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want, and have a nice day.